Because every time I was told no, I didn't stop there, right? I went and I created my own space. I went and did what I had to do to set myself up for success.
Yo. I'm sorry, I'm letting you go. No, I'm messing. Good morning, good afternoon. Yo.
Hello. What's good, coworkers?
What's up, y'all?
Welcome back to another episode of the We Outside Afterwork podcast. I'm your host, Dana.
And I'm y'all favorite host, Aaron, in the building. We have a special guest to my left, Dana's right. Yes. We have best-selling author, Miss Zollyann. How are you? Hey, girl, hey.
Yes, so before we get started with our hot takes question, I do just want to address something that happened with our reel. So our reel hit 1.3 million views. So that is a big ass deal. Yeah, and it was still going up until we had to cut off the comments because people were being like crazy and writing paragraphs. So it ended up getting flagged though on Instagram as like false information. Because some girl who actually is, I guess, a journalist, she made a website article basically trying to fact check and say that was false information. And what I want to say is, let's not act like systematic racism isn't a thing. So a couple years ago, Wells Fargo actually was in a lawsuit because they got caught saying that they weren't giving black people loans and mortgages for their homes.
I remember.
So it's like, how do you think they're able to figure out who's who? Like, it's your identification number, which is your social security card.
I don't know what the facts are, so I'm not going to dispute.
Okay.
Listen, we're not going to dispute nothing. We're going to hit y'all with allegedly from here on out.
Alleged,
because we don't need y'all being haters.
No, but that lawsuit was an actual thing that happened, guys. So all I want to say is, before you start flagging our shit, it's probably because it went viral.
And on top of that,
thank you for that.
The Social Security Administration did change the way that they issue Social Security numbers in 2011. They changed it to randomization. So it's a reason that they did that. Whether the reason may be because our opinions of what we believe it to be or whatever, they knew something was wrong. So at the end of the day, just keep sharing our video. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the engagement.
You know,
we love you guys. We love you, coworkers. So let's get into our hot takes. All right, Aaron, if you want to go first.
Yeah, so hot takes is a question that we do to make our guests feel comfortable. And we're going to start with something, a nice little softball question for you. Okay. Kids should get an allowance. First off, you have children. I have children. Dana, you don't have children. So I actually want you to start because I want your perspective on it because you don't have kids. So I want you to see. Okay,
should kids get an allowance? Yep. I agree. Because I think the sooner they understand financial literacy, the better. And I also feel like you should have a bank account, some type of trust, like some cushion for your child to start off with some type of head start once they become 18. So when I have kids, like they're definitely going to be like set when it comes to the financial piece. So they're not like, because I think about how I was when I was going off to college and stuff. And for the most part, I didn't get my first job until I got to college because my dad, like, he took care of my bills, like any type of extra shit, like my hair and my nails, like he would pay for. But then it's like, all right, well, these expenses are now going towards education. So with me, it was like, all right, now I got to get a job, which is fine because it teaches you like work ethic and all of those great things. But I feel like if I had some cushion or like some type of funds to work with, it would be less stressful being a working college student.
Was that the job you and Anna got fired from?
No, that was the second job. No, my first job was in computer services at King University.
And that first job.
Yeah, that started my technology career. And the crazy part was it wasn't even planned. The only reason why I took that job was because it was paying the most on campus. It was like 50 cents more than all the other jobs.
Yeah, I just did the desk job at I was with
you were swiping?
Yeah, Sozio,
you were swiping
Rogers.
the IDs? Okay. All right, so then Zollyann, what do you think?
So I look at it differently. I have 3 kids, and I mean, before becoming an entrepreneur, I did give my oldest an allowance, but after becoming an entrepreneur, and you know, you hear things on social media, so I was like, oh, you could pay your kids and then you can write it off.
Yeah.
So I had a physical store that I opened up in Florida. Even when I do things on the regular, like I'll have them help me package stuff and do little things, and because I want to teach them about money. When you talk about financial literacy, I didn't know much about that, and I made poor decisions. So it's like I don't want my kids to make those same bad decisions that I did. So I'm trying to teach them about money. So I will pay my kids. Like my 2 oldest, I pay them every little thing that they help me do.
How old are your oldest?
My oldest, he's 10.
Okay.
So he's been getting paid for 3 years now. And as long as I don't go over that $12K limit, I'm able to write it off and lower my business tax income.
Right.
So that's one of the good benefits about it. So I'm waiting for the youngest one. She's 3. I'm waiting for her to turn 7 so I can start working her too. And it teaches him, because he has his debit card. All of my kids, that's one thing. As soon as they were right out the womb and got that Social Security, I went and I opened up bank accounts. And it's like, you know how those celebrities be? We be like, oh, they have a page for their babies on Instagram and it's just a newborn. But when you think that child get to 18, they don't have to establish building, their self up.
They already have. That's a brand.
That's a
brand. It is. I think about my kids like that with their bank accounts. Like, you've had a bank account since you were 6 weeks old. So by the time you get to 15, by the time you get to 18, it's already developed and you have some type of relationship with that bank. So it's easier for you to get a loan. It's easier for you to, do certain things for yourself without having to sign off.
Or starting at zero.
Right, exactly. So I just look at it from that standpoint.
And that's what a lot of the farmers do. Because, like, as a farmer, your kids are working those farms. So if you're making money off of poultry or off of the land or cows, whatever the case may be, your children are getting paid for that. So it's generational wealth. So, shout out to you for generational wealth building. That's what we love.
So we all agree.
Whoa.
First off, I say that, I was like, watch him disagree.
Nah, you better be paying them kids.
Paying them what?
Jaden.
Paying them mine. That's what I paid them. First off, Jaden, bless his heart, anytime he asks me for money, I do my best to try to give it to him, right? Because he's a great kid, straight A's, does awesome in sports, but I incentivize him. I don't do an allowance like every week, here's $20 or here's this. No, like, you have goals that I want you to achieve, whether it's athletic, scholastically, etc. His mom is the same way. This way we're working towards something, right? I think usually when I view allowance, it's like those suburban moms where it's like, okay, you do the dishes.
Your kids is like yelling and cursing at you, like, you still giving them money?
No.
Right.
Hell no. I'm very specific with Jaden because he's like me. We're not the best with money. So now I got him a Apple Card. So I send him money and I watch his transactions. So now it's like, all right, I'm going to control that. You're not spending $20 at Wingstop no more. Like, because this is poor spending habits. So me and his mom, we really working on that. But, I guess kids should get allowances.
I'm just kudos to y'all for doing that for your kids, because I think now we are part of the generation where financial literacy is being more talked about, right? Because growing up, it was one of those things where, like, your parents didn't really tell you about, like, their finances. Unfortunately, some parents would put their kids' information on, like, a cable bill or something, which fucked up their credit at a young age.
Mine's still on Xfinity somewhere.
Oh, shit.
That's fucking crazy. But, like, now you're creating, like, a struggle. That's the but the reality is it's a struggle now, because when they start wanting to get property or start a business or get a loan, it's like, oh, well, you got these transactions that were never paid on your credit history, and you was like 5 years old.
So you got any extended?
No, I don't. My mom, she was responsible in a way.
Like, my parents, and I mention them a lot. Like,
sorry, Londa.
See, with my parents, they weren't the best when it came to finances, but thank God they didn't do no shit like that.
Right.
Like, that's fucked
my
up.
My mom loved to shop, but she ain't put my name on nothing. But you know what? Like, when I think about that, I think about parents doing that, but also wanting you out the house at 18 or wanting you to start helping them pay their bills when you're not even established yet. So it's like, you fucked up in both areas.
See, I was fortunate where that wasn't a thing for me, where, like, my home is always going to be an open door. And I do think that setting up children with allowances and that sense of love that I got you makes them feel a lot more comfortable for them to live out their dreams. Because the kids who get pushed out at 18, it's like, I gotta work, I gotta get going, I can't really live out my dream.
But don't get me wrong, that helps build up that hustler mentality and, like, that work ethic. But I feel like it's coming from survival. It's coming from, like, them feeling like, well, I don't have a choice. Because I would say in my situation, my parents, because they never, like, actually bought property, like, they always rented up until now. And I moved around so many times I can't even count, like, growing up. I don't even know how many elementary schools I went to. But it's at a point where like they're still in that instability mindset, and for me, like I want the complete opposite. Like I do want to buy property, so it kind of like showed me, okay, this is what not to do. So yeah, that's just my perspective. Okay, well, let's get into Zollyann, because you are here for a reason, not to talk about trauma. Okay, so we want to talk about your story. You are our author, like Erin mentioned. So can you tell us a bit about your background and like you being an author and when that started?
Sure. So there's like a lot of labels to me. So my real background is education. So I started off by being a teacher. And that was just pretty much for survival. Like I went to school, when I was in high school, I was into fashion, right? So I interned for Teen Vogue in 17. I wanted to be a fashion designer. Then I went to college and started doing other things.
Shout out to St. Peter's.
And shout out to St. Peter's. St. Peter's is probably the reason why I'm a hustler. Like
my brother went there for a year.
Yeah, I learned a lot of like real people, hands-on skills that degree probably would have never, would never taught me. But when I left college, like I said, I went into education and I was teaching for several years. I became a mom, just going through life, getting comfortable. Like you got a really good job, you could take care of yourself, you can take care of your house. And I felt like I got too comfortable and I was like, I'm not happy. Like I was putting everybody first. I was holding things down. I was doing everything I needed to do, but I just felt like something was missing. And I was just up quitting jobs, like, and I thought it was because of the job because I wasn't happy. But I was like, something's missing. I don't know what it is, but this is going.
Right.
It just didn't feel right.
Yeah,
exactly.
We actually had that conversation off camera where we talked about not feeling comfortable in certain situations, whether it's your job, your relationship, and acting on that. Because a lot of people, like, they'll feel that uncomfortability and just be like, you know what, I'm too scared to take that risk or like actually create change.
You just gotta leave.
And then nothing happens. Yeah, now like 20 years go by and then you're still unhappy and now you're trying to figure shit out. So for you, like, what was it the... like being an author, like what actually like helped that comfortability?
So that started, I was about to turn 30, like a few months. I didn't know a pandemic was going to happen too. It was a lot of shit that came for me turning 30. And I was like, well, I'm just going to write down. I'm big on journaling. I'm big on writing things down because I feel like that's the only way I'm able to like physically envision it and make it happen. So I wrote down like, okay, I want to accomplish these 30 things before I turn 30. And that's how it started. I just had a few things on my list. It was business things, personal things. I didn't accomplish everything, but being an author and some other business ventures were on there, and I just started just making shit happen. Like I started planning out exactly how I'm gonna get it done.
Did you put deadlines and stuff too?
I did put deadlines, and I would check in with myself. If I put 2 weeks down, if I put a month down, I'm checking back in to see if I accomplished those steps within the 2 weeks. And if I didn't, I go back, okay, well, what do I need to do? What did I miss? And I just got it done. And I was like, how did this take me 3-4 months to accomplish this? And I wanted to do this my entire life. I'm not about to be 30. And once I put the first 2 books out, again, the pandemic had just started. So people were like, well, let me just support. Everybody was in that support black business space. So I got real lucky. Lucky.
You got to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I got to take advantage of it. And it was just like a light bulb. I was like, so I did this. Let me go and let me start checking these other things off. And I think at that point, like a lot of people, I had friends, I had other people that also wanted to do things, but they were scared. And I was just like, well, I did it. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care if you don't buy it. I'm doing it for me because I've done everything else for my kids. My kids are good. I've done everything else for my job, right? And I need to do this for me. So whether I'm successful at it or not, it was just a goal that I want to accomplish. I was giving my books away for free, like the first year, because I was like, here, just read it. And people were like, well, damn, let me support since you giving it away for free. But I think that kind of inspired me to just go out there and not be scared. Like I said, I started within a year after that, I opened up my first brick and mortar in Florida.
And what was you selling there?
Women's clothing, a whole bunch of different things. I became mentors for other women to kind of like inspire them to, you know, start their own business and do a lot of other things. So it was a big push for me. And I tell people all the time, like, it hurts to go after your dreams, right? Because you don't get the support that you need.
Lose people, you lose
people, right? Like, you lose people, you know, and that, like, that entrepreneurship, like, it takes you on a whirlwind journey. Like,
can we talk about the support piece? Because I know Aaron actually mentioned the support on our outline. So Aaron, if you want to just get into what you meant by what you put on the outline.
Because and when we started this podcast, and especially 2023, our emphasis was support. Like, not just us supporting others, but others supporting us. Do you believe that that support and that success is what catapulted you to keep going? Or do you think that no matter what, you was going to go? Because honestly, if that 2020 failure happened versus that 2020 success, would life be different?
I'll say this. Whether it was successful from the support or not, I wasn't giving up. So if I had 2 people supporting me versus 100 people supporting me, I was going to keep going because it's the purpose behind it, right? Like, I knew I started this for myself. So whether you rocking with me or not, whether you rocking with me or not, right? Somebody is gonna see this and somebody is gonna feel it because that shit is real. Like, I'm putting blood, sweat, and tears into everything I'm doing, right? So whether I get support from 2 people or 10 people, it don't matter because I'm still doing this for me, and this is my purpose and this is what I'm doing. So you don't gotta support me, but I'm still gonna make this shit happen. But like, when you talk about support, when I first started, I thought all my family and all my friends was gonna be like, "Girl, we got you." They don't. I had about 3 people.
No, mine does. But no, so with family though, because I think a lot of people, when it comes to support, like, the way I look at it is, if my family and friends support it, I think it's great. And that's actually how it was in the beginning for us with the podcast. Like, everyone that I knew I was sending the link to, I'm like, oh, watch our podcast, like, share, do all the things. But then I started to realize, well, these people aren't necessarily my target audience. So I can't get mad if they don't actually share this stuff or watch it because it's not geared towards them. And for me, I more so want the support of, like, the majority that I'm speaking to, like, people who can relate to my experiences. And with my family and friends, like, they know me personally, so they kind of know, like, different things that I've experienced growing up. So them hearing it is like, okay, well, you know, like, that's dope to hear your perspective, but they were there. I'm
a slightly disagree, and it's not because I don't agree with your premise, but I feel like if you know that this is what we doing, like Zolly said, putting blood, sweat, and tears into this, I need you to support me. I need you to not have me call you out to get this shit done, because at the end of the day,
but it's
this
like
could
an
change
obligation.
our lives.
Like, you shouldn't, like, put that on your friends.
I'm not putting it on them, but it's like, if you value me, I shouldn't have to ask you.
Because I do that for my friends. Like, if they have their own business and they're like, oh, can you share my shit on Instagram? I'll do it in a heartbeat because I'm that kind of friend.
But see, I'm different because I'm not that friend that'll share it solely because you asked me. If I see it,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'll do it if I see it, not because.
But support is free. Like, you can get support in different ways. Like, I tell people all the time, I'm not asking you to go and buy something directly from me.
Spend
like,
money.
Talk about it with somebody, right? Share the link. If you see somebody that's asking about something and you know that I have that product and that's my market, just pass them my card. Just say something, right? Mention me in that room. Like, put my names in rooms.
And it goes a long way because you never know who's going to see what, right? When I seen her books, it's like, all right, I probably seen her books a long time ago and just scrolling past. But it's like, no, hold on. Let me take time out of this. And this is somebody that we share spaces with. Let me support her. She didn't have to ask me to do that. Like, that's just what you're supposed to do.
And I think with the social media space, because when you do put out content and you're constantly promoting yourself, your followers will eventually see that. So it's like, oh, like Aaron said, he started to look through your stuff because he kept seeing it. He's like, oh, actually, let me take a look and see, like, what exactly this is about. So I think social media allows that space for us to do that. And then when it comes down to the friends, like, it kind of goes back to the conversation we had about what friendship means to you. And, like, how you value each other. And I'm that friend where you don't even have to ask me. If I see like, oh, you just made a page for your business, I'm gonna share, I'm gonna like, I'm gonna follow, because that's the kind of friend I am. I don't necessarily expect that from my friends, but if you do it, it's great. But I'm not gonna be like, damn, like, okay,
it's a mindset thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really a mindset thing, because then you have to think about the people that they'll support you because they want access to you, because they were like, okay, I see her with some motion, so
potential.
She might, you know,
they see the potential.
So and so might happen. And then there's some people that they know your potential, right? Because they know you personally, so they're not gonna support you because they don't want you seeing, they don't want you doing better than how they're doing or how they feel like you should be doing, right?
A friend then?
It's not considered
I think
a friend.
I think it's levels.
But it's a mindset thing, because I'm not saying it's a bad person. I'm not saying you don't love that person or they don't love you. But again, their mindset is not on the same level. It's not in alignment with what you're trying to do.
They were
so
raised,
it's like,
right, and what they value. And like some people, they can. We were talking about birthday dinners, and Zolly was saying now when she goes like celebrates her birthday, she goes on vacation a lot, and you travel a lot alone. And for me, I was like, I want to start doing that because I'm sick of birthday dinners and like having to plan a whole event, and maybe your friends will come out or maybe not.
As a real friend, I should be planning her birthday dinner.
Oh God. Anyway,
I'm a cousin. I'm
facts.
So
but wait, hold on, real quick.
Let me get my point off. So it's kind of like the friends that cancel the birthday dinner, are you now not going to be friends with them because they didn't come to your birthday dinner? And that's a trending
friends
thing.
Cut me off of that.
That's a trending thing with females.
That I was really close with that I didn't show up because one, I got kids, I got to find sitters, or things happen, right? And they was like, well, you ain't come to my birthday dinner. And I understand it. If you feel like I wasn't there to support you in that way, go ahead. You wasn't for me anyways. I'm gonna find me a new friend.
I don't think that's a real friend.
Marcus Houston said, if you love something, let it go. And if it comes back, then that's how you
Nah, because then sometimes that shit come back and it was just a trap. We don't spin the block.
But on the flip side, we talked earlier when we opened the show about that viral video that we had, right? It's people that I've shared our podcast with. Ain't retweeted, shared it, mentioned it, commented, liked it, or nothing. But the moment they see it got a bunch of views on it, oh, that's y'all podcast? Oh, I see y'all this, I see y'all popping. Like, no, don't come now.
That's the people you got to be careful with, right? Because they only want access to you
when they
have an agenda.
But that's the hard part of support. It's like, do you support me because you care, or do you support me because it's something beneficial potentially for you? And I don't fuck with that at all.
At all. We don't fuck with that.
Period.
Boom, boom.
Okay, so what I want to get into now, to talk about you being an author, to bring it back to that conversation, we did kind of touch on this prior to us recording. Now, it is a known thing that there's a lot of things going on in Florida with like banning books. Yeah, banning books and reviewing a lot of the curriculum in the schools because they claim it's not necessarily appropriate for younger kids, but the books that are under review are usually the ones that talk about like Black history and that are written by Black authors and other minority groups. So, for example, one book in particular that I came across, it's this children's book called Solwa by Lupita Nyong'o. And this book,
that's a really good book.
Oh, okay, perfect. So the book was about her experience growing up and dealing with colorism and building up her self-esteem. And for some reason, not for some reason, but this is one of the books. Exactly. So I want to know Zollyan's perspective as how you feel about this being like a Black author, and you do write a lot of children's books.
And I have lived in Florida, and I recently just got the fuck about it. Right? Me and my kids, we laugh because it's like this Florida, and then there's Orlando.
Okay.
So I feel like when you outside of a lot of the cultural communities, it's a real different world.
And that's everywhere. That's not just Florida.
But it's real like.
So is Orlando supposed to be like the chill spot?
When you have a city, like the big cities in pretty much every densely populated area in America is usually culturally curated.
Usually, yes, but for Florida, because I'm not familiar with Orlando, I'm like, well, what is it about Orlando? Are they more accepting?
It's like New York.
It's more liberal.
It's like New York,
but
then the thing about it, it's still Florida.
Right.
So what they're trying to implement in the other counties, it's still going to be implemented in Orlando. So if you have a Black child attending school, but no diverse books are in that classroom, would you really want your child in that school?
No representation.
Right? There's none. Especially if you're a black author, right? And these are things that you take seriously, and your children are not able to learn about that outside of the home, then I don't want to be a part of that. Like, I'm not a fan of the Florida school system.
So you literally like bounced.
I literally bounced. I wasn't fucking with that shit. I wasn't feeling it. I was like, I'm not about to raise my kids somewhere where we have to be on our toes.
They're not accepted.
They're not accepted. Or I feel like if you step out of here, you know, they lock kids up in Florida. Like, I'm a New Yorker, so if something happened at a school, it have to be real extreme for a cop to put handcuffs on you. But in Florida, you got a kid with ADHD, or you got a kid with any type of, like, you know, special disorder, and they become extreme. I mean, the school safety officers in Florida are real cops, right? It's not.
Zollyann likes cops in schools.
It should be in schools, but not to that extreme.
Right. So you know,
like, what?
And I remember when I filled out the application to enroll my kids in schools, like, have your child ever been arrested? And that should have been my red flag to be like, girl, are you making the right decision?
What kind of school was this? Elementary
school? Yeah, my kids are all elementary age, and that was a question on the application. Have your child ever been arrested? And I remember I called the school up and I was like, did you send me the right application? She was like, no, it's the right application. Just make sure you answer all the questions. And I remember checking no and filling in my child's age, and I was just like, what am I getting myself into? That should have been a red flag to, girl, drive your ass back to New Jersey. But I wanted to give it a chance because, you know, outside of that, like, Florida's fun. The quality of life is different. The air is different.
Slower,
it's so much.
Beautiful,
like, the kids actually loved it because you get to be a kid, you know? You get to be a kid out there, but they don't see the outside of it and the things that you have to put up with and the things that you have to fight, or people looking at you a certain way, or you feeling like you got to go now, you know, get a gun and carry a gun with you. And, you know, you got to be cautious, right, when you're in certain areas.
Florida reminds me of Disney, obviously, because Disney is Florida. And with Little Mermaid just coming out. It came out yesterday. Thursday, you know.
Oh, you saw that?
I see that
early showing?
But representation, like you said, matters. On the flip side, white folks, they are operating off of a default. Like, everything that I see, when I turn to Netflix, I see the white people movies. When I turn to Marvel, I see Captain America's a white man. Oh, wait, you can't make Captain America a black man. You can't make Little Mermaid a black woman. So when we get these books that talks about colorism and self-esteem, isn't that just telling black kids, like, y'all shouldn't worry about y'all while we worried about us? Isn't that kind of hypocritical?
Well, I want to say with the public school system, just in America in general, they don't even tell the actual, like, real history of America.
Right.
Like, I think it's like a federal level where, and this is alleged, guys, because I'm fucking thing.
You know, you got haters.
Yeah, but alleged, but not alleged. So when it comes to, like, slavery and those things, they don't want to put that in textbooks. They're trying to take all of it out,
like in Texas,
just because it's like, oh, this didn't happen. It wasn't that bad.
It was indentured servitude.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't think they want to tell the actual truth of American history, because now it puts a light and shows, like, this is actually what happened, to show the younger generations. And now that's changing the dynamic of the control and the privileged mindset, because now your child is seeing, like, oh shit, not like directly their ancestors, but at some point they were slave masters. They had slaves. And now you're questioning different things. And I don't know if y'all have seen, but on TikTok it was like a thing where a couple alleged but there were videos of Caucasian white parents, like, going in on, like, black people and, like, different type of social things going on, and, like, their kids were recording it and posting it on TikTok and, like, putting their parents on blast. And it's because they don't agree with that, and like, they want to show, even if it is their parents, like, it is a little crazy that, you know, you put your parents out there, but it's like they want to show people that, yo, I don't agree with this, my parent is racist as fuck, and this is just not something that I'm trying to follow. Right.
This new generation, they're very vocal, and they love social media, so anything they gonna put it out there, and I think that's what they're afraid of, that agenda being pushed. And too many people now trying to fight what they work so hard to hide from. Like, it's ridiculous.
Well, as we're getting into more of election seasons, especially with the new presidential election next year, we're going to get a lot more political when it comes to race and different things like that across this country. And that's the unfortunate reality. Like I said, white people don't like the default turning multicultural. They like to stay on this level playing field where it's like, I see me on TV, not I see Aaron, or I see Zolly, or I see Dana, or I see Marvin, I think Dale.
It's certain white groups, like white supremacists. Who the fuck is Dale?
The whitest name
I just called that. But I was gonna say, there's the new Spider-Man movie coming out, the multiverse, the second
Miles
one.
Morales.
Yeah, Miles Morales. He was on the Breakfast Club because that's something that I listen to a lot. Yeah, there's a cartoon.
He was on. Oh.
Yo, I feel like there's like 2 to 3 different Spider-Mans that come out every year. There's a new one
coming out, in theaters. And on the interview, the guy who was playing his, who was like voicing the character was Shamik something. And he was saying that, like, in order for him to have that opportunity, it was because of things changing now. Because for the most part, Spider-Man was always white, right? So I think that just shows, like, how things are actually changing behind the scenes. And it might be small, but, you know, like, to see a black Spider-Man cartoon, like, having a young son, for example, for you, Aaron, because you do have a son, like, what does that feel like or, like, look like for you?
Well, when Jaden was coming up, Black Panther was his thing. Because it was like, oh, not only is this a cool superhero, but he's black. He looks like me. He has hair like me. I see myself in him. And not that he didn't like Captain America or he couldn't
relate.
But he couldn't relate.
Yeah.
So at the same time, it's like, I don't want to take it away from white people either, because I think that's also unfair to say all of your superheroes, we're going to make them all black, right? No, it should be diversity for a reason.
Yeah, and I don't think it should be just a white and black thing also, because I
think...
Or
woman, or male, or gay, or
yeah, but I'm saying there's just other minority groups too. So I know they're not really getting the spotlight when it comes to these roles, but I think starting with just black people in general, like
we gotta break down barriers.
Yeah, we are the ones who have to just like break shit down and like work harder, and I think that's a step in the right direction.
But speaking of breaking barriers, we want to get back into a little bit of you.
Yeah, we going on a tangent.
What does breaking barriers mean to you?
It's funny. Someone just asked me this question the other day, and I think, and I'm gonna reiterate on what I shared with her. Like, breaking barriers for me means setting my own rules, right? Creating my own spaces. Like you guys were just talking about being black and having to work harder. Like being black, being a mom, being a single mom, you always gotta work 10 times harder to accomplish whatever it is. I've always had to work 10 times harder to get anything that I have today, right?
Which is super unfair.
It's unfair, but that's just what it is. It's the reality of what it is. And I was told no a lot of times, and I think that's how I broke barriers. Every time I was told no, I didn't stop there, right? I went and I created my own space. I went and did what I had to do to set myself up for success. And I think that's just what breaking barriers means for me. Just setting my own rules, redefining my own rules, and not letting anybody put me in a box. You're not about to stop me. I'm going to do what I want to do. And I'm going to...
Oh, go ahead.
No, and I'm going to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish.
Okay. And I was going to say, was that because you wanted your children just to see that in their mother? Like, did you feel like they were also a factor to keep pushing and breaking down those barriers?
They are. I didn't think of that at first. At first, it was like literally all about me. Like I'm going and I'm doing these things for myself. And then eventually I saw the effects. Like, okay, by me doing this, my children are not going to be able to do this or to not have to work 10 times as hard because you have certain things already here. I'm handing you this so you don't have to work 10 times as hard. But I'm not just giving it to you, right? I'm not just giving you that silver spoon. I'm giving it to you with lessons. I'm giving it to you with resources. Like, my kids are like my silent business partners. Like, they watch me do everything. They have an input. Like, they are there learning with me, growing with me, because it's all new, right? Like, I'm trying to break generational curses. So it's like I'm bringing them a part of this journey with me. And I think by them seeing that, it's powerful to me. It's real powerful.
That's a huge step.
I don't mean to be cliche, but it sounds like you got like a New York state of mind, correct?
Facts. Hello, Brooklyn, all day, every every day. It's
dead ass.
When you're a New Yorker and you go to other states, you really see the difference. Like, for example, Florida, right? Like, you'll go there and you're hustling, right? And people are like, well, why are you working so hard? Why are you doing this? I'm like, because we not sleeping until...
But we did.
Right.
In the Northeast. Like,
right. That's it. Like, it's something about being a New Yorker. Like, you got this extra swag with you. You got this extra drive with you. And you just go hustle. It don't even matter if it's something small. You gonna go after it.
Let's get specific. Let's get straight down to Brownsville. I want to know what's Brownsville.
Brownsville.
Like what's that for the girl you were when you was 5 years old to the girl you are now? Or a woman, I'm sorry.
I grew up in the hood, but I didn't have a hood life, right? My mom worked really hard to make sure that I had the best of everything, but I say that to say, because I was from Brownsville, that's saying with, like, sometimes you got to change your environment to change who you are as a person. I still had that environment, right? So my mom could do the best that she did, but I still made friends. And some of those friends weren't, like, the best people to be around. So when I did become older, like, and I was in college, but I would still go back to hood and kick it with those friends. So when I left college, those were my peoples, right? And because I was hanging around certain people, I made a lot of poor decisions, which is why probably I did have to work 10 times as hard, because I didn't take the way out. I was out, but I was still going back.
You was outside.
I was outside, right? I was outside.
Not like that. Like, we are wholesome outside.
But it reminds me of Alexis when she was on our show. Alexis, she went to Catholic schools and everything, and she was from North, but she was kind of taken outside of that
environment,
and then she kind of wanted a little bit of that home life.
She was placed back into like that space, so people treated her different because they're like, oh, you think you better than us because you know, like, you go to school here and like you're from here. So yeah, I think that does just shape your perspective on things. But to go back to the hustler mentality too, I think also drive comes from within, and you can't really teach ambition. It's like, well, how bad do you want it, right? Because I think the last episode we had, Aaron, you asked me like, oh, well, how do you put love over ambition or something like that? And I was like, I need ambition from a partner because, like, I'm not going to keep hustling and doing XYZ and trying to accomplish my goals, and you're kind of just like chilling and not really matching my energy.
But 2K be real fun sometimes, so you know, we just be chilling.
Yeah, but y'all gotta have the same mindset. You gotta be in alignment.
Let's talk about what you look for.
What I look for
to dating.
And listen, my dating life is crazy. Well, first of all, I got 3 kids.
Yeah, right.
Single moms are the best people to date, by the way.
Yeah, he loves
I mean, but it's hard because we always need a sitter. And some people, they don't understand that. So it's like when you got to cancel last minute because your kid is sick, or when you know you can't stay out the whole weekend, somebody trying to be spontaneous and book a trip. You're like, nah, I'm sorry, I can't go on that trip. Like, but I could pull up.
But he also has to be understanding. He has to recognize, like, if you are someone that I value, this is what comes with it. And patience is a virtue. And I don't expect to spend 2 minutes with you. I expect to spend a lifetime with you. So if I can't give you a weekend, then I don't need to be with you.
Well, no, because she can't really help that she has responsibility.
Which is
fine. And you gotta be careful when you have kids. You still need to be there for your kid, and you still have to be careful who you let around your kid. So I need to make sure that this is 100% right.
I've heard plenty of stories where there are some single moms who do put the guy above their children, and then it's like, all right, well, you're trying to make sure he's good and he got this and he got that, but now your kids are lacking.
That's a self-esteem issue.
And on the flip side, from a man's perspective, it's also a self-esteem issue where we treat every woman according to the woman that we've had children with to avoid that. Like, it's the same thing, because women, okay, you the father of my children, I want a man similar to you, but I don't want you because I can't have you. That's what a lot of women do.
I don't know, because I've done the dating, and this is after, you know, I've ended those relationships with my kids' dads and like move on. I went through a whole process to heal and do all these things, and it changed my whole mindset. So I went from wanting a man, I want a woman. Like, I got a taste of that world, and it's like,
it tastes good, don't it?
I ain't say all that, but
y'all are wild.
I'm in the.
Don't your grandfather watch this?
I'm sure he does.
like he sleep at this point.
I'm sure he knows.
But I don't know. I'm in somebody's shopping cart right now, and it's not. It's not traditional. It's not what I'm used to.
I love now.
And I think
but it's so different
nowadays. Like that, there's space for that, right? Like if you don't want the traditional relationship, and we've talked about relationships so many times on here, and like relationships just look different now because it's not just husband and wife and kids in the picket fence. Like some people have 2 moms, they have 2 dads, or they have like trans parents. So it's like a melting pot of things, or like polygamy,
or co-parents who have
that polygamy conversation crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, but like it's
y'all
reality.
Selfish. Y'all gotta learn how to share.
I talked to my mom about this. I went to visit her recently to help her with her hair, and like relationship talk always triggers her. But we were talking about how like in different, like outside the US, polygamy is a known thing. It's like it's normal, exactly. And she was like, oh well, and this isn't from me, this is like my mom's views. But she was like, oh, because you can't have him for yourself, you're willing to just settle by sharing him.
But it's not necessarily settling.
Is it?
No.
Well, I think because they grew up in that culture, right? Like that's like a generational thing. Where here for us in America, like it's like a Western thing where like we want to have, exactly. So it's like a village raised in the.
I put everything into like the vision of the animal kingdom, right? So when I think of a pride of when I think of a pride of lions, right? There is one man lion. And there are nothing but women in the pack. The man don't even hunt. The women hunt. The women get the food. And then the man eats. It's the
men that go out and
if
you look at the lions, any man lion that don't have a pride is fending for himself.
We're not lions though.
Oh,
like we're humans. Okay. Well, you're in another bracket.
He in another bracket. And I will say this though, like I know what I'm used to, but when I stepped inside of that other world, like that person, like has made me feel ways, and I'm not talking sexually.
No, I'm not
even talking about that.
She's talking about support.
But yeah, when you talk about support, like that person had made me feel ways that a man has never made me feel, like,
or a person has never made.
Or a person has never, and it's fair to say a person.
I think when someone like they show you that they value your feelings. And they want to be there for you, because to me love is a dependable, like someone I can depend on and like be there for me, and I'm not talking about doing things necessarily, but like being there as far as like I could just call you and talk and be vulnerable, like that to me also equals love. So I don't necessarily think like for you, like it can come from whoever, right? It's not like a sexual thing, like she said.
And for me, love is open-ended. It's a lot.
It is
that comes with it. It's a lot that I don't know that comes with it. It's a lot that I think that comes with it. At the end of the day, love is just what it is.
Right. And it feels great when someone learns your love language and loves you in that way, and not just however, you know,
like
which way that it goes.
Their love language onto you. So they're like adjusting just to be there for you.
And we talked about it on the podcast. If y'all want to go back to episode 17, I think that's...
Is it 17? We be fucking up the numbers. Because I'll be going back when I'm editing. I'm like, this is not the number. Like, what the fuck?
But so, yeah, you also got to look at the love language, not solely just from a romantic perspective.
Right.
You got to look at it from an all-encompassing perspective. I don't just love you to be romantic with you. I love you as a friend. I love you as a confidant, a family member. Like, it's so many things in so many ways I need to love you.
Well, then I think we need to put boundaries on it, because being in love and loving someone is different. Like being actually in love with who they are and just loving them because like you're a part of my life, to me are two different things.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. So we at the end. Last segment is gonna be outside this summer. So, Zollyann, what does your outside 2023 look
2023? I'm outside selectively though, but I'm intentional now with my life and with everything. So I'm intentional about the amount of time I spent with my kids, the amount of time I spent with the people that I love, and I want to make sure like at least 70% of the time I'm outside, I'm making money. So if I'm not making money or I'm not being inspired, then I'm taking my ass back inside, because I ain't gonna have no money to spend outside and have fun, right? Cheap. So I'm just intentional about the spaces that I'm in. I'm still outside. but I'm gonna be inside working and building so that I can enjoy my time, because outside is expensive. So I don't like putting limits on myself, but my outside is overseas. I don't really want to do.
Can we get a bomb drop for that? Like, she's not local.
Like, I mean, I've been through the brunch stages. I think I done seen every theme park, I don't want to do the same thing over again. I want my kids to experience different things. So I think I would rather be overseas than outside, even if it's for like a weekend, or whatever. And
I think the exposure for that for your kids at a young age is hella important. So I love that.
But I'm outside selectively, so I might pull up, I might not.
Well, I'm going to continue to be outside because I'm already outside of all of my friends and family, living so far from them. So every moment that I get to just really share in the love that I have and the love that they have for me, I want to really take advantage over it. Nori's birthday is coming up, so I just want to make sure that we get her some Elmo for her birthday,
Like Elmo toys?
I already got a Tickle Me Elmo, and she done left it at one of her friends' house. We gonna talk.
Yeah. I think
I got it from TJ Maxx for like $13.
You gotta hide them. Toys.
Her mom left it at her friend's house when she was babysitting.
Oh, okay,
it's okay.
Okay.
She gonna get me another one.
Gotcha.
But yeah, just really want to just make time and truly embrace the moments with my children, because I'm starting not a new job, but I'm having a lateral promotion, so I gotta take a longer commute. So time is going to be of the essence. So I just want to make sure that I'm really enjoying that time outside. How about you?
I love that. I would say for me, outside, what it looks like for 2023 summer is learning and being the student and just perfecting the craft of like the podcast, my personal endeavors that I have going on. I just actually started my course last weekend. I'm getting back into like the stock market and trading.
Nice.
So
no Forex though.
It's not Forex, but Forex is an actual like trading market. But the one on Instagram where it is the pyramid scheme, that's not the same.
Yeah.
But no, so I'm just more so focusing on that and just learning and figure out ways to make more passive income and potentially, like do my own thing.
Speaking of passive income, if anybody wants to order Zolly's books, we're going to put the link in the description. Any other of her business ventures, we want to make sure that y'all go look her up, hook her up, and make sure that we help her out. Because it's family.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
No, thank you guys for having me. I had a good time. I had fun.
Despite me being late.
Yeah, and you're airing early, right?
Yeah, I know.
I'm usually late everywhere, and I was early today. I was late early.
I'm literally always rushing here. Right. So the fact that I was like 30 minutes early, I was like, oh shit, this feels nice. Like I felt calm.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, this is adulting. Okay, so guys, if you are interested on coming on the podcast and sharing your stuff that you got going on, or just joining the conversation, you can email us at woawpod@gmail.com. And on that note,
with that being said, we outside.
Period.